Welcome back to Blasters and Boomsticks. This week we are talking about Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's 2021 action, crime, horror, zombie, sci-fi mashup. As usual, Dan's in the hot seat. That might be one too many curries, but Dan, how are you?
I'm not very well. No, all good, mate. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good,
You?
good. Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I'm really interested to hear your take on
Mhm.
today's movie. So, Army of the Dead, fire away.
I right. Okay. I have a slight issue. Right. The issue being that I didn't hate it. I I, I don't think I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Um, not to the full extent. I think I went in sort of after the big buzz of Justice League and Snyder Cut. I was on such a high off of Justice
Mm.
League, and I sort of fell into that trap of thinking, "Oh, Snyder can deliver again." But when you look at his interim films from his big studio stuff, like Sucker Punch,
Yeah.
you start looking at stuff like that. I think dropping in and thinking, actually, yeah, when he's sort of left to his own devices, it's not always great, and that's where I came with
He's
this. I
he's kind of
came,
Lucas in some ways. He reminds me of a very
yeah,
George Lucas. He needs somebody to go, Zach, is just pull back
yeah.
a bit there,
You
and
look at
focus.
past history just before I get into the sort of, but Watchmen based on the Alan Moore comic,
Yeah.
300 Frank Miller comic, it's DC stuff. Dawn of the Dead was a remake. Sucker Punch was, I think, probably out of all those, it's the only original piece that he's done, to my
Yes.
knowledge. Um, as is, Army of the Dead. And again, I just feel it's one of those that it's spectacular to look at. It's what the youngsters say, you know, all filler, no killer. You know,
Yeah.
if they're still saying that, in 2003, I don't know. And what year is
Yeah.
it? I don't
I think they are. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like
know.
something I've heard the cool one say.
Those crazy kids and the yo-yos and their alcopops. It was okay. It was fairly meh for some of it. Visually, like I said, I enjoyed it visually.
Yeah.
Um, Beyond that, it's a lot of fluff for me. Yourself?
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it as much. Again, I think to look at, beautiful. I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's the one thing we can't say against Snyder, that everything is, even if you even if like even if you sat in a 2 hour 28 minute film thinking, why is this 2 hours 28 minutes, you're not bored of the visuals.
Yeah,
You're never bored of those. To me it felt a little bit like Call of Duty, the
yeah.
movie. um so much crammed in, so much things hinted at. And I think maybe Zack Snyder's just makes a movie and then he's like, and I've got to add this and I've got to do this. I mean, not again, it's not really spoilers, but there's a couple of scenes where they're hinted at the extraterrestrial angle, and there's
Yeah,
so many Easter eggs, so many things I spotted in the frame, off the frame, but that can easily be missed by
yeah.
a lot of the, like you said, how it's shot. It's like everything's happening, all filler, no killer. So that could easily be missed by the
Mm,
viewer. Some of the stuff. It does make me wonder whether it's like, I always used to thought Zack Snyder's one of the guys that he's really hungry, so he goes to the kitchen, he makes himself like a peanut butter sandwich. Then he's like gets so hungry before he eats it, he puts a layer of jam on. Then he
mhm.
puts a layer of bananas on. Then he
Yeah.
puts a layer of chocolate on, and it's just like you don't need that.
This was the problem that he had with Sucker Punch, where he was sort of like looking at things that he thought was cool, like samurais, and
Yeah,
then Gatling guns and German soldiers in World War I and stuff like that.
schoolgirls.
Yeah, and schoolgirls. Yeah, and that was it. It was literally he'd gone on record somewhere saying that he thought these things were cool, so he just decided to just throw them all into one big movie. And I think this is kind of what he's done here, is where he's gone like, what haven't we seen in the in a zombie film before? Well, we've not seen a heist, a
Yeah,
heist zombie film, which
which
I
would have
think,
been
yeah,
perfect
yeah,
for a setting.
yeah. I think a heist film starring zombies probably would have been more entertaining. Uh,
Absolutely.
just shuffle down that corridor, hope that's safe. Yeah, but I think the problem is, it's for me, it was the set of the characters. Now, the opening was fine. it's great. I did like the alphas. I thought it was a different. I don't know if anything that's appeared in like Walking Dead. I don't. It's not something I'm familiar with.
No,
So
that's why I said a little bit Call of Duty. It's like
yeah,
I'm happy that we get different take on it, but I think I need a little bit explanation or more hinted at than
yeah,
just this is what's happened kind of thing.
yeah. And it's just I think I felt although Batista does a bang up job, he's quite capable of holding a film, by himself. But it felt like his whole character was one big cliche after another. His wife had been turned. He had to deal with that. His daughter's not talking to him. He's a chef, but he's also, you know,
Yeah,
he's also being called up to break into a safe. And he's got all these things going for him, and he had it looks like he had a relationship with the female lead as well. They had something going on. It's all these things that are just
Maria.
it's just
Yeah,
sort of thrown in all these things, and it's like rather than him just being, they could have easily just made him an ex-con that they wanted to go in. They didn't have to have this whole convoluted story with his estranged daughter, who, to be honest, doesn't really do anything in it anyway.
just takes away from. It just takes up screen time. It's
Yeah,
the biggest issue,
yeah.
and also I start to not identify, and
Ooh,
not that you always have to identify, but like you said, sympathise and stuff. Because you just think this guy can't have this many things going for him or this many
yeah,
things against him. It's
yeah.
So.
It's like,
Um,
sorry.
sorry, just on Dave Bautista, I agree. I quite like Dave Bautista. I think he's more limited than people think he is, but I do think he's got charisma. I do think he can carry a certain amount of certain genre of film. Absolutely. There's three actors in this movie though that I was far more interested in, and I say this and I go back to our Mortal Kombat review. Hiroyoko Sanada,
Yeah.
so interesting. If they'd have built it around him going on the heist, rather again, Garrett Dillahunt, who played Martin,
Yeah.
superb actor that's totally underused all the time. And is it Theo Rossi? He's the guy. He's the he gets turned
Security
at the
guard.
end. Yeah, the security guard. That's it. All of them are very in a high zombie movie. I just feel that we've got Batista because he can pick up guns and that very level of, again, very video game-ish, like look at this big brute character that I am. But then I'm sat watching them thinking, daydreaming about these three people are more interesting, thinking, oh, what was if he was a main character? Oh, how would the film be different if he was a main character? I shouldn't be doing that in a film. And
Yeah.
this is where I'd like to see Zack Snyder play with the conventions and stuff, rather than just look at something different in a zombie movie. How about stop giving us kind of like early 2000 cliche characters
Yeah.
and like brute muscle men? Nothing against Batista. If they'd have casted him as the second guy, the third guy, or the alpha, or somebody, or killed him. Did a what was the film with oh come on, you're telling me this Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal where they kill off
Oh,
Seagal.
executive decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. That was brilliant at the time. I was blown away.
Yeah.
Not the Tommy Lee Jones movie, obviously. Yeah, so no, I agree with you. I just think it's one of those things again where if I put 2.5 hour film, I need somebody a bit more than Dave Bautista to be rooting for. No offense to him.
Oh no, no, no. But I think like they sort of built up this large ensemble cast as well, and the only person that really stood out for me was I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Matthias Schweigerhofer, who played Dieter,
Dieter, yeah.
the safecracker, and that was because he was the comic relief. Now I've heard that he's in talks to write a prequel.
It's been filmed.
Has it been filmed?
It's been filmed. I didn't even know
it?
that. I was going to say that until it's been filmed. Yeah, it's been
Army of
filmed already.
Thieves.
Army of Thieves, and it's coming out early next year.
Oh,
Apparently,
really? I only thought, I'd only heard that he was writing it. Oh, it's amazing.
So did I, mate. Right up until about 20 minutes before we recorded this review.
Well, that's and you look at the other characters, and they make a big point out, like the pilot. I think it's Tig Notaro.
Yes.
Who replaced another actor. And I can't remember who it was, but the actor the original was done for sexual misconduct or something like that. So they erased this actor from all the scenes, and Tig Notaro was green screened, and never interacted with any of the actors or anything. It was all
Oh,
just shot on
wow.
green screen, and she was digitally inserted. Now, if I'd not read that this other actor was done for that, it'd have made no difference to, because that again, that problem is it's such a background performance, and bless her, she doesn't do a great deal with it. She just sort of makes the odd comment, and I think it felt, because I knew that, it stuck out even more that her interaction seemed a little bit off and stuff like that. So I think, I mean, that's an argument for another time about replacing actors and stuff like that. But again, when these background characters, you know, I look at ensembles like I've watched recently, rewatched The Expendables,
Yeah.
and when you look at big action ensembles like that, even though like Terry Crews is like gets shot at the start of the third one and he's out of it, but the first two, you still know who he is. You know what it's like. You know what his favorite weapon is. You know that he gets to quip. Each person gets their own little action sequence. Each person's staged to fight someone with similar abilities. Each person's, they have a wrestler, this, that, and other. Martial arts on martial artists and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But even if you didn't go in caring about those characters or came out caring about those, at least you knew where each person was and each person's position within that team. You were fully aware.
Roles defined, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, absolutely. Whereas in this, it was just kind of, why does that get there? It's like, I can't remember his name. This is how it's sort of if frustrating it is. Is it Guzman? Just
Yes.
brings along two friends,
Yeah.
literally for cannon fodder.
And
One of them walks away.
Walks away. It's like, oh yeah. I don't want to.
It's like, I don't want zombies. I'm not going in there. It's like, and then he walks off, and you're like thinking, well, what's the point? Why
Yeah. What was?
you just filling time?
And from a character's perspective, would he drive all the way there?
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking there's a bunch of people you might be killing zombies for and stuff like that, or have an inclination that it's going to be that,
Yeah.
you don't know if they're going to shoot you for saying no.
When the whole story is set up that Las Vegas is being completely overrun, it's being walled off, you get into a car with your mate going, yeah, we're going to Las Vegas. At what point along do you suddenly go, I wonder why we're going to that place what's being quarantined? It's a no-fly zone. It's got zombies full. Why could I possibly go in there? Oh, we want you to help us break into it. Oh, no, I've got problems with that. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to take photos or get married or on the outskirts. I think what you said about roles defined is absolutely, because there's a couple of films I thought of when I watched it. Aliens, group, a ragtag bunch of people playing off each other, and Escape from like New York and stuff that had those kind of vibes. And when you just compare, and again, it's not that every movie, we always say there's only so many original ideas and things are just told a different way. But when it stands out, when I'm sat there thinking, it just feels a little bit like Alien. It feels like, again, Garrett Dillahunt's character, Martin, is it the company man? It's Berg.
Yeah. I said to you, didn't I, at the start as well, like when the big at the opening, and like I said to you, I'm hoping it's an homage because it was blatantly obvious for me that they riffed on America, Wales, for London when they were being stalked. The two army guys were being stalked and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And I think that it didn't go anywhere that surprised me. And maybe I probably thought too much of it. Maybe I should have just sort of sat there and thought, it's a zombie film and I'm here to sit and watch things get shot. But I kind of...
Do you think that's difficult with a runtime, though, to just, when people got this popcorn flick, I find that difficult to accept at 2.5 hours.
No, it's not popcorn. It's not at all. Zack Snyder recently said that no comic book film should be under 2 hours, which is fair enough. But when it comes to a genre film like this, when we've seen, character-driven pieces like, obviously it's not my thing, but Walking Dead, when they're in it's 10 years, is it now?
Yeah.
So each character has time to develop, and you're sort of still running on, and new characters are introduced and all this. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe Army of the Dead, because of the way they're trying to tell it, the way they give so much backstory to Batista and his family, maybe they should have, the entire opening sequence, like Zack Snyder normally does, he presents the immediate history of something over the titles. They did it in Batman versus Superman. Did Justice League, prime example. They had the whole introduction over the titles. Watchmen, it had the alternate history running up to the 1980s present sort of thing. And they did this in this. So the initial sort of zombie mass sort of destruction on Vegas during the opening titles. that could have been broken up into a mini-series. It could have been a 6-episode long, hour-long. It's a 6-episode,
absolutely.
hour-long mini-series. Each focus, you could focus on each character. You could have drawn it out, and it probably would have been more enjoyable that way.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
I just feel like it was, again, trying to stuff too much.
And it's difficult when I think it's a zombie film. Like you said, you talked about The Walking Dead. Like, I'm a fan of The Walking Dead from the first 6, 7 years. I thought were great. Watching the Fear and from series 4, the sister series, and the series 4 and 5 so far have been excellent. Not interested in the others, but there's been a bit of a reboot and stuff. And it's the, like you said, it's the drama. Your idea of leading up to these events. I'm interested in things. Zombies are zombies. When I'm seeing the alphas, great ideas and certain things are, and the weird blue-eyed robot-y kind of zombies that are hinted at and stuff.
Yeah.
All great ideas, but they're still zombies.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're trying to stuff so much in to explain zombies.
Yeah.
It's the human connection that made these series work. Why they did. It's a human connection. Why we care about all these previous films. Why Night of the Living Dead, why Romero had a career, why Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1 wanted to get George Romero on, and people gave a shit because it's like your zombies are like, whether they're fast or slow or whatever, it's how as humans interact with them. And in Army of the Dead, I just felt a little bit like, is this really a zombie film still?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the other stuff was more interesting, the ice stuff, that getting through there, the planning, and it's almost like, did he really want to make a zombie film when it's 2.5 hours long and there's so much like backstory and other things into that interfere with that? Did he want to make an alien movie? Did he want to draw away from it? It's like we always say, don't we? Sometimes people, like the Fantastic Four movie, the latest one, did the guy, I know there's a lot of studio interference, but just for looking from the outside, did he want to make a superhero film but was too embarrassed about it? So
It's a difficult one because it seems at odds with itself, and I think when other zombie films have done better, I think you look even in his own career. You look at Dawn of the Dead, and I think Dawn of the Dead, his remake, is a pretty good film. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was a really good film.
It gave us the fast zombies, and it sort of it expanded on that original idea. It was shot really well, and you actually cared about the characters in that. So to go from that, which is 15 years old now, something like that. Something like that. Probably, I don't know. Might be a bit wrong about that. But then to go on this, which is, he's sort of, I feel like he's stuck in. Is it still in his DC head zone where he's trying to cram as much in?
It's like he tries to grandize everything, and sometimes like you don't need that. Like in the horror genre, you can have, if he was to, I'd love to see him tackle like an horror film, and would it be this huge scope thing where sometimes it might be like less of that, more A Quiet Place, because the thing is that was my issue with World War Z as well. It was like when you see them all piling on top of each other, it's not really a zombie film, is it? It's like I'm watching super ants or something. And I know, again, it's just my opinion, but surely people who have preconceived ideas, and it's great to challenge conventions and stuff like that, but there's challenging them, and then there's just completely changing them where you think, it's not really a zombie film, is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a film I've been looking at, been reading other people's opinions on Facebook and stuff like that, and it has definitely divided people.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But to the point where the people who are loving it, if you dare say that you don't like it, people are getting ragged about in comments and stuff like that. There's a I think it's Horror Addicts group on Facebook of today said that they're switching off all comments. They're not allowing any more posts about Army of the Dead because they've had that much people essentially asking, what did you think, and they said they just can't cope with the amount of posts over the last 24 hours that they basically banned any discussion about it because it's causing too much arguments, it's causing too many problems and too many issues for their admin, which is when you should think, these first 24 hours it's been out, we should be able. Well, been out a bit longer now, but these discussions should be had. But if it's causing that much aggro, is it really worth it? When did we? It was
Yeah,
another discussion for another time. But when did we start? Calling each other for our opinions on. It's nice to have healthy discussion and stuff like that, but surely berating someone just because they didn't like something someone else loved, it's ridiculous. It's just, why can't we just sit back and enjoy that? Again, like I said, it's a conversation for another time, but I think there's a massive issue with the love for cinema these days.
Yeah.
It's,
Absolutely. I think as society, though, I know it is a huge, a huge talking point for another time. Like I do agree with you, but I think we're just so polarized in society, aren't we? Where everything's either so good, it's perfect, it's the next sliced bread,
yeah.
or if it doesn't live up to expectations, it's total shit.
Mm.
And then it's not till like the fanfare's died down. It's been out a while where I think people like that sometimes you can't really gauge their true opinion. Like they go into it so preconceived. Like I have to love this film, or I have to hate this film. When it's like, can you, like you said, just watch it, just enjoy it. If you do, great. If you don't, don't. Sometimes you might get those weird things like me and you, where you don't hate it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It leaves you just disappointed, but you can appreciate what was good about the film.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yeah. So just a quick thing before I ask you about your recommendations and stuff. I mean, we didn't mention. I mean, the cast, Dave Bautista, obviously the main star. But is there anyone who stood out particularly for you? Anyone you wanted to see more? Or any shining light?
I think that's it. Other than Matthias Schweighöfer, I don't know,
Easy
mate.
for you to say.
I just didn't care about anyone else.
No.
I really, and even him, just because he was the lighter character and the few moments of levity, I just sort of sat there thinking, it could have been anyone.
Could have been a group of 4 or 6, couldn't it, that you could have had rather than 28.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. Isn't it? It's sort of, it feels like, I don't know. Like you said, if it was a smaller cast, maybe it would have worked because the stakes would have been higher. You'd have been more. I mean, they brought in the coyote character, who just didn't really seem to do what they made the big thing out of it. Or she goes in, leads people in and out of Las Vegas in the night to go and find money so they can get away from the quarantine camps. By the way, big fucking sore point for me was she led everyone into Las Vegas through the secret doorway and left the secret doorway wide fucking open as they walked away from it.
Yeah.
Fucking cargo container doors. This is the secret entrance into it. Oh, but are you worried about zombies going back through the other way? What? Sorry?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's
almost like Zack Snyder he's a great ideas man and he's a great filmmaker, but it's like the child in him is like, yes, Zack, but wouldn't it be great if we had alien robot zombies? And then he's like, nah, don't be. Alien robot zombies?
I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this is it. It just feels like it is the George Lucas of. It's almost like it feels like there's something there to begin with, and he just can't stop tampering.
Yeah. Do you know what all it took for that little sequence was them walking through? Right, literally, it would have just been the last person. All they had to do was shut the container door behind them.
I know.
That's it, and it seems so pathetic. It seems so like pedantic, and it's just like I'm being really picky. But when they're sort of talking about this great threat, and they can't let any of them out, and this, they can't let them get out or whatever. Yeah, they've really built up how many are in there, how Vegas is overrun, and they can't, and how quickly these people are turning once the bit, and it's like almost instant, isn't it? It's like it doesn't take long for them to turn at all. And then they just leave these massive fuck off doors open. It's like, yeah, go on. You might as well just ring the fucking dinner bell.
I thought this was a secret entrance. I lied. I also must say, I hated the soundtrack. The choice of songs, yes.
Yeah.
But like, was it? I might be going a little crazy from like Snyderverse stuff, but it was Bad Moon Rising was playing, wasn't it? They picked that, but yeah, and I just sometimes you can hear something, you go, yeah, it's not as good as the original, but I'm liking it, and I thought every choice just didn't. It just made me want the original song to be in it rather than the actual version or the cover that was played.
Yeah. No, you're right, mate. It was an odd choice for a lot of things.
So would you recommend, Daniel? Would you recommend that people go out and watch this? It's obviously a Netflix exclusive. I think it's in some cinemas as well, or
Yeah.
will be. But is it worth 2.5 hours of
No,
somebody's time?
no.
No.
I'd say if you could trim the fat, I think if you trim all if you just had, you can pronounce the actor's name better than I can, the Japanese actor.
Oh yeah, Ryuko Sanada.
Yeah, if it just had him walking into the restaurant
Yeah,
and saying, Dave Bautista, why don't you come and get some money out of this vault? It's overrun by zombies, but, I think you can do it. Assemble your team, and went from there without including the daughter, without including all these extra background characters that don't actually do anything. It's like you said, the security guard, he poses this little threat to people around the camp because he potentially has been molesting people, only for him to go in and be essentially used as bait.
Yeah.
His character goes nowhere. And it's just like, if you get rid of that, trim down some of the conversations that don't go anywhere, you would probably have a 90-minute decent heist flick, that action film, zombie film, that'd work.
Yeah.
I'd say if you could trim it out, if you could do a non-Snyder cut, where you cut away, I'd say cut away an hour and you've got a decent film. I could recommend that, but I don't think it's worth 2.5 hours of your time.
No, I don't, and I'll never forgive Zack Snyder for making me, for one fleeting second, go, oh yeah, I can understand why Warner Brothers might look at you sometimes and go, what the fuck? And then I remembered it's Warner Brothers and thought, no, fuck off. Yeah, no, I think if you've generally got nothing to watch and you want to watch a zombie flick or something new, or you're interested, then yeah, maybe watch it. But I can't say I enjoyed it, and I can't say go out and watch it. You probably stumble upon it and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, someone needs to deassemble the cut, and we need a Dan cut.
I'm on it, mate.
Right, guys. Well, thank you for that. Me and Dan totally wrong. Zach produced another hit.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Everything he touches at the minute, is it gold? Is the acclaim from his fans gone to his head?
Yes. That's not me. That's the ghost of a director's past who couldn't get their own cuts.
Brilliant.
All sat in hell going, damn you, Zack Snyder.
This is, I want to go to the Snyder hell. So thanks, guys. Let us know, again, as usual, let us know what we said, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with, when we were talking total bollocks, as usual. And if you'd like, share and subscribe, that'd be brilliant. So we can fight the YouTube demons, get further up that pecking order. So, Dan, thank you very much for joining me.
I love you.
Ironically, he's talking to me and not the Snyder Cut. And guys, we will see you soon.